Good evening. My name is Jeff Worth. I'm City at-large City Council, a member of the Budget and Finance Committee. Today I'm joined with City Council Vice President, Ward 5 City Councilor Sean Nolan, who is sitting in for one of our two absent members. Unfortunately, Chairperson Scott Milhart and Vice Chair Tony Gross are unable to join us today. So I'm going to do the best I can to run my first City Council meeting.
Just one small thing to remind, because if Scott's not here, do they have to do it by roll
Because
call?
there's a remote member.
Scott's not here.
Oh, so it's just two?
Yeah.
Okay.
If we have someone remoteness on the committee, we need to roll call.
Please, yes.
I understand. I haven't run a meeting, but I do watch and pay attention, so thank you. We're joined today by our auditor, Katie Costa, who's sitting to my right, our CFO, Connor McCorkle, our city clerk, Grace Poirier. I can't see if there's anybody else. There are no other city employees online. There's a lot on our agenda, but the first thing on our agenda today is a report from Siegel accounting firm, is it Siegel?
Siegel Company,
Siegel
their
Company.
actuary company.
City, it's a company we hire.
Yes,
It's
correct.
a company we hired to assist us as our actuaries on our OPEB funds, which stands for other post-employee benefits, employment benefits. And they're giving us a report from year end, June 31st, 2024.
Correct.
Okay, so if we could spend maybe 15 minutes or so on a high-level overview, and then if Council Nolan has questions, or any of the people in the audience here have questions, then we could do a little dialogue on that. And we have Samuel Bustani, is that correct?
Yes, good evening, everyone.
Thanks, Jeff.
You-
This is Sean. I think you know all the people here.
You can hear me okay? See me okay as well?
That's a little interesting, though.
Okay, so let me know, would you like me to share my screen so we can go over the report? I don't know what would be better for you. I don't know if you have copies. There's two reports here that I sent to Kenny. I'm not gonna go, I think I'll be focusing on the GASB, the accounting report, but let me know what works better for you.
Yeah, the only, Sam, I was thinking if you can present the GASB 74, 75, because that's what's going to go into the financial statements.
Exactly.
And also typically I highlight, so our OPEB liability at June 30th was 175 million. And our net position, so the amount of funds that we have invested, I believe it's at Bartholomew.
Yeah.
2.5 million.
Close to
So,
zero.
yeah.
So I guess for presentation purposes, to answer your question, Sean, do you feel like it'd be helpful to you to see it on the screen as he's going through it? If you have it, you want to look on my screen?
No, I'm fine. I've read the
Let
report.
me try to put it on the screen in case, but I'm gonna try to do that. If it doesn't work,
Yeah, let's try that. We did that a couple of years ago and it worked well. I would say let's try that. Also, too, it's being recorded as well, so if somebody wants to see this later, they'll have the ability.
I have it up on my screen too, so I can jump to whatever page you're on.
can you see it?
Yeah, I'm gonna do something here.
No, but it's
No, it takes time.
Okay, got it.
You see?
Yes.
Okay, all right. So I'm gonna focus, like Kenny said, I'm gonna be just focusing on the GASB, on the accounting report. Like we did send two reports here. I don't know if we need to go at all, discuss the provision, who gets a benefit, what type of benefit, and the assumption. This is in the other report, in the funding report, when we talks about the assumption and provision. This report is more condensed, and it's kind of based off the other report. So let me know if would you be interested in kind of a refresher of the provision and assumption, or just go ahead completely into
I'll do an
the
overall refresher on the subject.
Yes.
And then a review of where we stand, year to date, with expectations for your actual expectations going forward. And if you could do me the favor of not using abbreviations, I'm sure everyone in this room knows them, but if someone's listening in or reviews this later, they might not know what GASB is. Hopefully we can see Government Accounting Standards Board, but as best you can, if you can avoid abbreviations, I'd appreciate that.
Okay, sure. All right, so I'm gonna go quickly look at so the first report, the funding report. This is the basis of evaluation this year. We do an evaluation every other year. So this year, the full valuation, meaning, compiling the data, the claims, the premium, was done as of June 30, 23. The prior valuation was as of 2021. I'm just going to go quickly here because I know I only have 15 to 20 minutes and discuss the provision. So the provision here, who gets the benefit? The OPEB. Okay, OPEB is retiree health benefit, at retirement. We have to retire and receive a pension from the city of Gloucester retirement system to be able to get those OPEB benefits here. There's different group. This is a statute here, so I'm not going to go over this in detail. What type of benefit you get on the OPEB? So this is mainly medical pharmacy benefit, and the benefits are offered through the GIC. Again, this is the Commonwealth of Massachusetts Group Insurance Commission, GIC. You also have a life insurance benefit of $2,000. You are subsidizing some of it. And also you pay a small portion of the Part B premium. The coverage is for life. And here I'm listing the premium here. These are the different plans for the under 65 non-Medicare retirees on the GIC. The premium, the retiree cost, how much retirees are paying depending on the plan. And this is for the under 65. And here we have for the over 65 for the Medicare retirees. And quickly here, there were no changes in the plan provision from the prior evaluation. So here, there's no changes. The only change is updating for the premium information for the GIC. Then I'm going to go over quickly the assumption tab, and I'm just going to focus on, you can see in the report, in this report, it's a big section on the assumption, in terms of demographic assumption, when folks will be retiring, dying, receiving benefit, participation, how many will participate. All the stuff is in the report. I'm not going to go over this. I'm just going to focus on the change in the assumption, and that's going to carry over the accounting report as well. So kind of describe the assumption. So what changed since the prior evaluation is we did update the Commonwealth of Massachusetts OPEB assumption starting cost based off the most recent valuation that was performed by Deloitte. Okay, so what was updated was the starting cost, the per capita health cost, the contribution. Again, we take this from this valuation. We're consistent because they are on the GIC. The trend assumption also were updated. We can look at the impact after. And some of the demographic assumption, they tie to the teacher retirement system and the valuation. So we did update this. We want to be consistent. So in the PERAC and their evaluation, they updated the teacher projection mortality scale. So we did do that to be on the same page. Looking at your experience here, we updated the election assumption for Medicare, for teacher Medicare. Basically, how many under 65, when they reach age 65, how many will be assumed to be on Medicare? And this over time is increasing. You have more folks to be on Medicare. So that was updated from 90% to 95%. So this will be a good impact on your plan because Medicare, take most of the costs for over 65. For someone who's not Medicare, switching to Medicare, that would be a saving to the city. I'm going to leave it there for this report, and unless you have any question on the assumption, the provision, I'm going to go directly to the accounting report. The reason I don't want to spend time on this as well is the purpose of the intent of this report is really focus on funding and provide what we call an ADC, an actuarially determined contribution, to fully pre-fund your OPEB benefit. Now that the city doesn't do that yet, I think maybe we should talk about this at some point. Your funding policy is not tied to the the required contribution that Siegel recommend every year or every other year. So I will not be spending time on this, but maybe this is a discussion we can have another time. Any question on the assumption changes or the provision before I go in the accounting report?
Do you have any questions, Sean?
You're the insurance guy.
I do have two quick questions. One is, in our pension program, teachers have their own pension through the Massachusetts Teachers Association. I didn't know, I'm learning this now, that we pay benefits, mainly health insurance. And obviously there's a few other things, but health insurance is the largest percentage of what this benefit is, right? Like we're talking like 99% of it.
Yes.
Okay. So is there an option for teachers to get health insurance through the state, through the Mass Teachers Association?
Sorry, did you say health insurance or
Health
life?
insurance. If I said life, I meant health.
No, so through the Mass teachers, it's just pension. At one point, it was through the state where we did, through an assessment, but we were still responsible, for the health insurance. We always have. But now through the GIC, we just pay directly to the GIC. Years ago, it used to be a cherry sheet assessment. And that's why you'll see that on the city side of the budget. I know during the budget process, that question comes up a lot. And it's something that John and I had discussed early on when we moved from Harvard Pilgrim to the GIC. Because if we ever decided to go back to Harvard Pilgrim and opt out of the GIC, that will always stay on the city side. Because then it would be a cherry sheet, it would be a state assessment. So that's why it's always on the city side, because it's always been on the city side, whether through the state as a cherry sheet assessment, or we're paying for it through the budget. So it's always been on the city side. It's something that John, thought would be the best interest for the city to always keep it on the city side. So I think I just wanted to also to let you know, but no, it's something that the city's always been responsible for.
So it's an out of budget expense for the school department that the city covers for their health insurance.
Correct.
And it used to come out of deduction of the cherry sheets,
Correct.
which the cherry sheets are the total income for the city from the state, or is it just school funding? The cherry sheets?
So the funding, it's, as you know, it's Chapter 70, veterans benefits and other types of benefits. So there's also charges as well. So there's also school choice as well that's netted from, so the state they giveth and they taketh away. So it's an assessment, it's a charge.
And then one more other question on the assumptions. I have some questions on the overall operation.
Yes, please.
Inflation Reduction Act, how did that impact your assumptions?
So the Inflation Reduction Act this really applies to the pharmacy for the Medicare. And the idea is, given the Inflation Reduction Act, the changes that mainly implemented, it's going to impact 2025 is the out-of-pocket, the $2,000 out-of-pocket here will have an impact on the premium here because they max the out-of-pocket $2,000 effective 2025. That's going to increase the cost of the plan. So what we try to do in this valuation, and I did quantify the impact here, we tried to estimate this, what would be the impact in 2025 given the Inflation Reduction Act. That was an increase, right? As you switch some of the cost from the plan to the from CMS to the plan, and you cap, the cost of the retirees, the premium will increase and the cost will increase. So that's what this is the impact for the Inflation Reduction Act here.
Okay.
Maybe I can. I did quantify it here. I think it would make sense to look at the impact of the IRA. I'm going to use IRA for Inflation Reduction Acts as part of the accounting because the difference also between the accounting and the funding is the discount rate is different. When we do a funding report, we are using the expected long rate of return on the trust on the asset, which is a higher discount rate. It's 6.75. But when we do the accounting, what we do is basically we look at your asset how much you have asset, and can they cover the benefit payment? Are do they cover? Are they going to be depleted quickly? And in your case, unfortunately, the level of asset funding is very low at this point. So it is depleted completely, the asset, and we have to use a lower discount rate. So if it's not on the same page as the funding, will have a different impact. When you have a lower discount rate, you're going to have a higher liability. So that's why I want to focus. We'll go through these different, changes on the accounting side, because I think this is more what you're interested in. And definitely, I'm going to look at each of these. So let me switch on to the accounting report. I'm going to go quickly directly to the highlight page here, which is on page 5, and hopefully you can see it on my screen. And to summarize the numbers.
Sorry if I could interrupt. Your report and the one we have has different page numbers.
There's two reports. So there's one as of June 30th, and then there's the GASB 7475. So if you're looking at
This
the
one here.
packet, looking at my memo,
Yeah, statement 74, 75.
yeah,
That what he said?
that's the correct one, yes.
But the page numbers don't align with his page numbers. So for example, his
So, okay,
page
so I did send there a revised version to you, Kenny. Maybe that's why it's different.
Today,
yeah, I got the right one now. We're good.
Okay.
Page 5.
all set.
Thank you.
All set? Okay, good. Okay, so I'm just gonna go, let's go through this highlight of the valuation here. So, okay. So the net OPEB liability, the net OPEB liability from an accounting standpoint, this is the difference between the liability, which is the total OPEB liability, and the planned fiduciary net position, which is the asset. So just the difference between the two is what we call under GASB is the net OPEB liability here, the shortfall in your case. You have liability, you have asset. What is the difference? What is the shortfall? So this is referred to as NOL. Okay. So your net OPEB liability increased from 154 million. That was as of last year, June 30, 23, to 172.8 million for this year. Okay. Now we're going to go through why it did increase.
Sorry.
Go
Our
ahead.
liability went up by about $20 million. Some of that's the assumptions, some of that's fund performance.
I'm gonna go over this really in detail so you can see really item by item what changed and how much. Now we know that this liability, this unfunded, this NOL, if you want, is expected to increase, just due to normal plan operation. You have continuing accrual of active benefit every year. They earn an additional year of service. That's going to increase your liability. You have interest on your liability, your opening balance liability. That's going to increase your liability as well. So we did expect this NOL to increase to 157.8. So it was 154. We expect this to increase to 157.8. But the final liabilities was 172.8. So what are the differences? I'm going to go over through this here again. So here, the difference between the expected NOL and the actual is due to the following. We had a small investment gain here that decreased your liability, your NOL, by very minimal 65. So you have a little bit more favorable experience than expected. You had a experience gain due to updating your census demographic of about 776K. This is also, just a small gain here if you want. And then this is the bigger change here, as we mentioned, is really the assumption change this year. That was 15.9 million. And I'm going to go over the differences, what went to do this 15.9 million. On the next page here, this is an outline of what are the changes, but also I do have on a different, it's not quantified here, but I have it somewhere else. I can tell you as I'm going through this, okay? So the first change on the assumptions where we did update the assumption again to match the OPE valuation for the GASB that was performed by Deloitte. So this is on the GIC, okay? we wanted to align the GIC costs. We do take the costs from Deloitte. They run the GIC costs by plan, by different plan. So that was updated in their most recent valuation as of June 30, 23. So we updated the starting cost, the contribution, and the trend assumption. So the impact for this, I have an impact of this for, that was a net increase of 19 million. Now you have gains, but this is just updating, really just relying on the GIC cost, the updated cost for the entire Commonwealth for the GIC. That was an increase of 90 million. So updating the starting costs, updating the contribution. Deloitte has proposed trend that we also took into consideration for the short term. All the stuff combined was a net increase of 19.2 million exactly. So we are in the sense we need to be really consistent with the GIC costs, and we need to be consistent with what Deloitte performed, because they look at the Commonwealth and in total, they doing this analysis and they come up with those costs here. So this is really some extent, I have to be consistent with that.
Is that like, legally you need to be consistent with it, or is it you just believe their numbers? So you impute those for us too?
Well, we have no doubt, we have no reason to doubt of their numbers. Definitely, I mean, I'm looking at this report and I'm looking at the methodology, and this is basically applied to all the GIC clients that we have here at CBO. So all the GIC clients are seeing an increase, for this year. That doesn't mean, my future change will be different, but for this year, it happened to be an increase. So based on the due plan election, we look at the GIC for what other GIC costs by plan. We have different plan. We saw here non-Medicare, Medicare, but obviously the mix of the plan is really tied to your election. You retiree, what are they participating? Are they participating in plan A versus B versus C? This is really tied to your experience. But the starting cost for each plan is based off what Deloitte is providing. The other change that happened this year is, again, like I said, the impact of the Inflation Reduction Act of 2022. And that was on the Medicare pharmacy plans. This is talking about the Medicare plans that you have within the GIC. And again, what this is saying is the IRA is, for 25, they had significant benefit cost sharing, and mainly this 2,000 member out-of-pocket max. That's had a very significant, impact on the 2025 premium cost for the all the plan that has a pharmacy component on the Medicare side. So we did estimate this, and again, our estimate, I can tell you, it's very, now that the 2025 renewal are coming in, our estimates are very close to what I've been seeing on the 2025 renewal. So the impact of updating this or estimating this was 5 million.
Say that last sentence again.
Impact of updating or reflecting the Inflation Reduction Act on your numbers was 5 million. So of this 15.8 million, 5 million is due to the IRA.
Okay. And the last sentence on that page, the OPEB expense increased from 2.2 million.
Minus two.
Yeah, minus 2. Well, so it's an expense that increased by a negative, so it's right, so it's a double negative, isn't it? So the expense increased by negative 2.2 million. Is that a gain or is that a loss?
So it was minus 2. Now it's minus 257. But that's a loss because you have a less of an income.
The loss increased.
It's a loss because it's you have an income of 2.2 million. Now the income is only 257,000. So there is a decrease in the income. It's a loss.
It's bad.
Bad.
Yeah.
Yes.
Shouldn't there be another 2 on
Not
that
good.
last number though?
Which
That
one here?
second Doesn't the 257 number have a 2 million more in front of it?
No, well, let me see. I have the detail of the calculation of the expense. No, it's 257. You can see it here. So it's really 257. So it was minus 2 million the prior year, and now it's 257. And you have the detail into what went into this 257 income this year.
Maybe it's a question of how we're all interpreting it, but
So, and the reason is
You're losing two
you
hundred.
have this year here, the assumption, remember the assumption was a loss of 15 million. We had to amortize this.
I
That
think
was
it's actually, so it was 2.2 and now it's 257. So it looks like to me it's an improvement.
It's an improvement.
Yeah.
but there should be, I mean, I'm sorry, I can't say what it should be.
Well, it looks like we had an improvement of
$2 million.
$2 million.
Yeah, that's what it looks
Yes,
like.
yes.
And
Okay,
is
so
that
That's what it looks like to me, looking at this,
And
yeah.
is that is
That's
that
my
the case,
interpretation.
Samuel?
no, it's the other way around. This is an income of 2 million. Now the income increased, so it's not an improvement. It's the other way around.
Right, so shouldn't
Okay,
it
so
be
your expenses, instead of when you have a negative expense, this is an income. So your income decreased from 2.2 million to only 257,000. That's a decrease in income. This is an increase in expense.
okay, so where is that income coming from?
well, look at the expenses of 2,560 to 4,4. This, the third line up, there's a $2 million deficit above what it was on the expenses.
Recognition of beginning of year deferred outflows of resources, that one there?
Yeah, it shows a current and prior.
That's all Gatsby.
Yeah.
That's all Gatsby language.
This is really Gatsby, but what triggered this loss, this decrease in income is this 3.9 million, due to the assumption loss, and we do amortize this. You have a deferral. You don't take the 50 million, all of it, you put it on your expense. Just you amortize, and you take a portion of it. So that was the 4 million here. That's why it kind of decrease your income. So it went from 2.2 to 257,000.
I get it.
Okay, a question on about the fifth line down, interest on the total OPEB liability. Who is charging us interest and who are we paying it to?
I think it's interest of not funding it. It's Gatsby. So there's and as you mentioned earlier, there's an ADC, which is an actuarial determined contribution amount that we need to contribute. And I think it's just applying an interest to it, and that's Gatsby. It's a Gatsby model.
Is it a real cost or is it a?
No,
Try
so
to
this
send
is
us
all,
to-
this is all actuarial, this is all estimated. So this is just to prepare us. So like, for example, with pension, and this is something that I'm not sure if Sam, if you're aware. So in 2034, for as far as pension side, to be fully funded, that's our target date, is 2034. So we're hopeful in 2035, we can start making more meaningful contributions to OPEB, at that point. I mean, right now we have a plan, we have a funding schedule, we would love to fund more if we could, right? However, not until we as of right now, and this is what we've talked to Tony Roselli, which is our outside auditors, conversations I've had with John, conversations I've had with Connor. I don't see us making meaningful contributions until 2035. Even John, at one point, we even discussed and talked about perhaps even borrowing and pre-funding OPEB. We just, at this point, we're not comfortable with that right now, especially, we even talked about that even on the pension side, and it's just so close to being fully funded on pension that, we feel waiting until 2035 is the most prudent thing to do.
So let's go on.
So basically, the plan is 2034 was what our target goal was, to even out things that we fell behind from past,
Correct,
of not funding and not doing what we're supposed to do.
correct.
The ideal situation is we keep going on track. for 2034, but it may be 2035 and 2036. But fundamentally, what we're doing, it looks to me that we're still on track for that goal.
Well, that's pension.
Right.
Because pension and OPEB, it's different, but they're related, so pension obviously is the, retiree,
The payroll,
yes,
not insurance.
right. And then on the insurance side, it's a big number, it's 175 million, and just so you know, 6 years ago, it was over 200 million. So this unfunded liability, it goes back and forth. So right now it's 175 million. It looks like it's trending that it's going up. And we have assets of 2.5 million. Right? So it's only funded at like 1.45% at this time. Right? So not until, and I'm also on the retirement board. So when we look at just, there's an actuary. So the same report you're seeing here, we see this every 2 years on the pension side. So in 2034, if everything goes well, we're expecting to be fully funded in 2034, and then 2035, we can start making more meaningful contributions for OPEB. Now, in 2035, it doesn't mean we're off the hook on pension, because every 2 years, we'll have an evaluation done and we'll see how things are going. And there may be a time where we may need to fund pension. So just, just to be mindful, after 2034, it doesn't mean that pension is, it's all set, like it's done. It's something that every 2 years there's evaluation and it's monitored, it's looked at every 2 years to make sure that we're on track. So if we're ever, if we need an additional funding, so obviously, the city would need to provide that funding. Now, the only thing I will say, for pension, there's a statutory requirement to
Right.
fund pension, not for OPEB, not at this time. So I'm expecting, if I had to estimate, my guess is sometime in 2034, or after, or maybe even 2040, I'm expecting the state to require, communities to be on a funding schedule and required to fund OPEB. So it's coming. So what I would say is, 2035, and again, and just myself on the retirement board, I've been trying, so when I first was on the retirement board, it was 2037. Every 2 years, I've been trying, I even tried 2033. It's just not feasible. I think 2034 is as best it's going to get.
All right, so, basically, what I'm gathering is things are on track.
Yes.
We are looking good.
Yeah.
When you look at this meeting and look at the numbers, it's kind of scary.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? When you look at what our actual budget is versus what
Yeah.
we're looking at here, but this is a planned thing that we set up years ago, that you guys set up, or even
Yeah.
before you.
I was here when we first set up the OPEB trust fund.
So,
I actually recommended it to, I'm from Jeff Town.
yeah.
I had recommended it to him years ago.
So, all right, I feel confident. We're in good standings. We're seeing
Yeah.
a lot of weird numbers and large numbers. Jeff's asked a lot of great questions on this. Financials not my biggest thing, but I do understand things when I'm looking at them, but we have a plan.
Yes.
And we're getting there.
Yes,
And that's the one thing I want people to understand, watching this meeting and listening to it in the minutes, is that there is a plan.
Yep.
We're getting there, and we're not in a situation that is so bad that it's embarrassing.
correct. I mean, it's no different than where we were 2 years ago.
Excellent.
It's the
Thank you.
same, it's the same plan. No different.
Thank you, Sam. I'm gonna keep listening.
But on if you don't mind me just to add on a funding standpoint, I think the city is still on the low end in terms of funding ratio. You're really starting to pre-fund. I mean, I know this is not a priority yet, but I can't stress enough the benefit of pre-funding the OPEB. I think it's definitely is going to help you. As a matter of fact, you the shortfall, the difference between asset and the liability, all the difference here, what we call the NOL, this is going on your balance sheet. This is a big number. When you start pre-funding, not only you're building up asset, but also you're using a higher discount rate, which can decrease your liability further. So there's so many benefits to pre-funding. So I think definitely something to consider, and more than happy to help. I do a lot of, I have a lot of clients, doing funding, coming up with funding policy and so forth. So when you guys are ready, and Ken, you don't have to now, even like short term, to fund the entire amount we require. You can phase into it. Maybe have a plan of, what, I want to get into this number maybe over 5, 7, 10 years. There's always ways to get there, which can increase your, your financial, landscape. Because I think this is why if when you guys are ready, we can talk about this. But this doesn't seem like maybe in the short term.
So thank you for this. I share Sean's position that we have the right people working on this, and no question about that. But I probably am a little more cautious or alarmed, and it's a healthy alarm, right? And I'm not going to lose sleep tonight, but it's something we should all be thinking about. The city council has fiduciary responsibility for the city of Gloucester, right? And none of us are coming up with $175 million to just plunk it in and say we're going to take care of this ourselves, right? So, and that obligation is competing against real needs that residents have every single day. And as a ward councilor,
The balance.
right? But it doesn't really feel balanced in the sense of $175 million liability and $2.5 million to work towards that. And so essentially we're paying as we go, right? I think I saw a number of $6 million or so coming
Yes.
out of the general fund. That's a yearly expense. And the concern is if we have a down year, either in the market or other liabilities for the city, if we don't have that $6 million to spend to pay as we go, we're in trouble.
Yep.
$2.5 million is not gonna go very far if we're spending, I think I saw $6 million a
$6
year,
million a year.
Yeah,
right?
and we should be contributing, the actual determined contribution is 9.4.
9.4 million
Yes,
per year.
and we're contributing 6 million. So there's the gap, and that's what this pre-funding is doing, it's just preparing us down the road.
This
And
is
just,
what pre-funding would do, we're not pre-funding.
So the 2.5, that is pre-funding.
Well, I mean, it's
So just,
98% not funded.
right. No, the thing is the 2.5 million, since it's in an OPEB trust, these funds can only be used for retiree health benefits. It cannot be used for anything else, like for example, if to pave a road or to, snow and ice, to cure a deficit in snow and ice. These funds, once they're in this account, can only be used for these purposes.
Where is that account?
It's in a trust fund, it's in a trust and agency fund, it's outside of the general fund.
And it's
And
managed
it's-
by the retirement board or Park or?
Bartholomew and Company's the company that manages it for us.
Okay. And do they have assumptions built in for what they hope to get for returns? I saw some different
Yep.
asset allocations.
They
What's
come out,
this?
meet with us once a year, and they have a packet they give us, which I can provide if
Yeah.
that's helpful.
I would like for us to do at some point a deeper dive and really talk about, to the extent that the council has any authority over it, what are the expectations of the long run as new employees come on, number of people in the plan, obviously people die, they come out of the plan, what's the impact of early retirement? I know years ago we were incenting people to retire early, but I was saying, but that might mean it costs us more money in the long run because they're on their pension for a longer period of time. I'd like to talk about those. Are we having any conversations about, instead of defined benefit plans, defined contribution plans where people don't get a pension, but they get a 401k or
That's under chapter 32, and that's our retirement office.
are we having any, but it would involve the mayor and the city council in adopting a new plan if we were to consider some people, right, there's some people might say, I'd rather contribute to an account that I can spend when I want, right?
You mean as optional?
Yeah. Do we have any of that conversation going
No.
anywhere?
No.
Because that could take some liability off if some people said, I'm happy employee, but I don't want to get a $50,000 a year pension, I'd rather have $1 million in a 401k, for example. I know it's a different form, 403B, I think.
Yep, or 457 plan.
457, right, so are those conversations happening in any corner of City Hall or retirement board?
Maybe 15 years ago, I heard a little bit of it. but not now, no.
Okay.
And we do offer the 457,
But that's
if
separate.
someone wanted to.
Yes,
Additional.
that's additional.
Additional.
Correct.
You know, there's some people, if you retire at 65, they'd rather have $1 million, they can travel the world and do something, than have $50,000 a year for the rest of their life. Right? Do we have any buyout options?
No, so this is all under chapter 32. And we have our own retirement system. So there is no social security, there's no opting out. If you're, if you're, have membership, you qualify for membership, you're in the system. And that's, it's all under chapter 32. But there is no opt out.
My concern is, in 2034, I think I saw the city's contribution to pension was
Yep.
24 million.
Significant.
That comes out of our budget, right? I mean,
People living longer.
but I mean, just to be on track, and that's mandated to say in 2034, which might seem like a long ways away, but it's only, what, 8 years away, right? 8?
Well, and let's hope that the market holds up too. That's why I knock on
Yeah.
wood. I don't know if this is really wood or not, but that's, because so I recall back under the financial crisis, just really quick, I remember we were supposed to be fully funded, the city, I think it was like 2032. Then the financial crisis happened, and then the state provided relief, essentially like refinancing the mortgage to 2040. We, as the board, did not want to, I was on the board at the time, we did not want to do that. So we went to 2037, just in case there was another downturn in the market and we needed those 3 years.
I think the work you're doing is fantastic. It doesn't mean I'm not concerned about, do we have $24 million in the budget in a few years to say, okay, this is our contribution to get caught up. So I'm concerned, I want to do a deeper dive at some point.
I do understand what you're talking about, Jeff, but I can say that in a municipality, there's a huge trade-off versus pay and pension. And a lot of people understand the difference of what a pension means versus, social security. And so we do have a group of quality people that are working for less money for the comfort and sustainability of having a pension.
I just want to say, for the record, I 100% agree, and this isn't about the people.
Oh, no, I understand, but.
What's the number gonna look like when we
There's
get
obviously, so $24 million in 2040, it's $24 million,
2034?
34. It's still, obviously, when we came in, there was $108 million, our budget was for city, now we're up around $150 million.
Yeah.
It changes, so it's something to look at, and I wouldn't mind looking at it with you.
We're paying $10 million a year now in the pension
A
fund?
little bit over. Yeah, I believe it's
10.
about 12.
So
But it goes up
7
6%.
years,
It
right?
goes up 6% each year.
And that's
It
what
was
we doubled.
7 when I came on the council.
Yeah.
So can we have another sort of a workshop on this? Maybe it's I mean, I'm just gonna throw it back to you. Do you feel like it's worth it to have a workshop on this? You've got a lot on your plates already as it is.
I would say, I think at this point, we have, we're closing fiscal year 24, we're working on that. We also, the budget is coming up as well, so if we can find a window, also to,
August.
also to the other thing too is there's also retirement as well, and just, the same company, also Siegel. And we actually, not too long ago, we did have a new valuation report, not too long, maybe I can talk to the chairman again of the retirement, maybe they can come on.
Can we let Sam go at this point, or?
Yeah, Sam, first, I want to thank you. You opened our eyes. We have a lot of work to do. And we can't possibly cover everything you think is important for us to cover in our meeting tonight. And so I'd like to invite you back when we do have another forum of some sort. But for tonight, you've done your job really well, and I'm good, if you're good for now, to let you go back the rest of your night and we can continue on with our meeting.
And Sam, you did.
Absolutely.
Thank you,
Thank you for
Sam.
the info.
Thank you, everyone. You
That
take
was
care.
great.
Bye-bye.
Sorry, I just don't want to hold anybody down.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Um,
And I'm sorry, and I know we went a little bit
Yeah, no,
over,
this
but I
is
mean, I know
important stuff.
it's important stuff, it's important discussion, and I know during budget time, it is an agenda item, or it's an item. But this is, to me, I prefer to talk about it now,
Yeah.
rather than a rushed conversation during the budget.
Well, I think maybe what Jeff's saying is maybe like during the summer, have a get together with the council.
Yeah.
And have a communication between the two of you, maybe at a wharf somewhere with a cookout.
Sure.
August,
You know,
August maybe.
But,
The other question I want to ask is, and I think Sam alluded to it. We have this policy on what we do with free cash, right? And I think it was really helpful. And I think Jim Destino really led that charge when he was on the council and in the CAO position. Where it says your free
Jim
cash,
Safathia.
yeah, and Safathia obviously led the charge to say, when we get free cash, it just doesn't mean spend it however you want. There's these certain allocations. I don't know if it's a policy or advice, sort of advisory. I'm not sure if it's.
It's a policy.
It's a policy. I mean, I want to say, I thought it was 100, originally I think it was like 50,000. We've slowly increased. I think even maybe 2 or 3 fiscal years, we actually didn't contribute, because I do remember Siegel I do remember Siegel asking me, and I remember asking John, are we going to contribute to OPEB? And he said, no, not this year. So I think there was like 3 years, we didn't make any contribution. So I think now we're contributing like 450,000. So there's a renewed effort. And I also think the rating agencies, John mentioned that they were asking, so I think that's why he started contributing again. So.
I see exactly where you're going. I mean, we did the 5% going to private roads. If we had enacted the 5% to go to OPEB out of free cash each year, that would obviously make a difference from what Sam is saying. You know, is putting something on it, and that's something we can do as council and enact that.
Well, it has to be recommended by the mayor. So that's something that.
Right, but is that something that you think would make a difference, or is it something right now? Free cash is gonna be scarce. First of all, I don't think there's gonna be any free cash next year. You know what I mean? But maybe we talk about this when we get back on our feet.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, just for today, I think, can we just send some sort of message to the mayor to have this conversation? It's not a mandate. It's like, if it's even 1%, some number, we say, okay, let's just get used to saving money for OPEB out of free cash.
And
If there's no free cash, there's no contribution.
And the only thing I want to say is there's no impact on our retirees. You know, we pay as we go, we're paying our bills, so there's no impact to retirees as far as pension and health insurance. So,
The pay as you go is better than borrowing, but maybe we need to be paying in advance a little
right,
more.
and that's what the OPEB, that's what the plan is all about.
In
It's
a perfect
about,
world, you would. I mean,
it's planning.
you know, people that have a little extra, they smart moves to throw more in your mortgage.
Yeah.
You
I
know
just
what
fear
mean?
that,
So,
and it's got nothing with this administration or any future administrations, that when you do have a little extra money, there's a billion people screaming for that priority. And we've seen the benefit of contributing to the pension more aggressively because of the rate of return. You know, money's making more money for us, and it's just, it's helped us a lot.
All right, Jeff,
So, I'm good.
one question. Are we done with this whole,
I think for today, I don't think there's anything for us to
Okay.
do.
I'd like to ask for a recess to go to the bathroom.
I guess. It's
The next thing we have coming up is beach parking, and you both may be important to this. If you can stick around for another 15 minutes while we go through that.
Oh, I'm here to the end.
All right, perfect. Excellent.
Appreciate
I'll
seeing
be
you.
right back.
Excuse me. Yes, do we need to adjourn?
Just take a recess.
Recess.
Aye.
5-minute recess. Chairperson can call recess without a vote.
The only thing I was gonna say, I don't know if Rebecca is with us, maybe, I don't know if, you know, it's a reoccurring
I
grant,
don't see it
maybe.
on there. I see it here. Oh, she is. She is.
I would just recommend if maybe taking her up next, so we're not.
Rebecca, I'm not sure if you can hear us, but
Thank you.
we reconvene, after Sean returns, we'll take you up first. And, we can get back to whatever you're doing for the rest of your personal life that everyone is allowed to have.
That would be lovely. Thank you so much.
So, and Connor, you're welcome to stay as long as you want.
I'll sit.
Okay, appreciate it. You know, it's numbers can tell two different stories at the same time. And I'm not an alarmist, and so I'm just naturally super anxious, but sometimes I see these things, I think, wow.
It was a bigger number 8 years ago.
Yeah, and I appreciate you can be like, no, there's no problem, we'll deal with it, but if there's one turn, either the market or the city has some obligation that comes out of nowhere. That we can't just, there's a lot of things that can happen, right? And,
Well, think of this, the secondary sewer, how much is that?
Yeah, and just funding basic services next
Right.
fiscal year is going to be very,
Challenging.
very
Yeah.
challenging.
and there's a point where we have to wonder how much can residents handle financially, right? So obviously the sewer project's gonna go, the sewer rate's just not gonna affect the general fund, but do people even afford to, if they fall behind on their bills, that affects everything, so, it's a concern. It'd be nice if we had, so there's these trillions of dollars in build back better, right? That, and do we have a grant writer right now?
I would say no.
Every department head sort of has some access
They're a
to
great
what it
person,
is,
yeah.
but it'd be great if we could, so this is my job.
Thank you, Ken.
Bring that money.
Sorry about that. I didn't mean to call it recess, but when I leave, there's no quorum.
Also, of course, yeah, no, I appreciate it.
No, it's-
So we'll call the meeting back to order. You just need, you just get up and we'll take recess, you're back. Okay? I'm not gonna say no. So I don't have the agenda.
Item number 3.
Now, we're gonna take the items out of order because we have a city staff person here who we'd like to have heard as soon as possible, and this is item number 3 on our agenda. And I'm gonna do this a little differently. First, welcome Rebecca. How are you tonight?
I'm good. How are you?
What I'm gonna do to keep the meeting going efficiently is I'm gonna read the motion, if you don't mind seconding it, and have a discussion solely on what's on the motion. and-
That's fine.
Okay. So I move to recommend the city council accept under Mass General Law, chapter 44, section 53A, a state grant from Massachusetts Department of Fish and Game, Division of Marine Fisheries, a fiscal year 25 Great Marsh Green Crab Trapping Grant Program, the amount of $13,000 for the purpose of providing a program to legally collect, remove, and dispose of European green crabs from coastal marine and estuarine waters within its jurisdiction. The grant period is through June 30th, 2005, with no local match required, and I so move.
Second.
Okay, now, discussion, Rebecca? You have the floor.
Sure. So it sounds like you guys are familiar with this grant, but I'll just introduce it real quick. It's a grant given to us through the state to help fund the removal of invasive species, the green crab in particular, that decimates juvenile shellfish, which is really taking a toll on our fishery, to be perfectly honest. So any incentive to help trap those green crabs is greatly appreciated by myself and everyone involved in the fishery.
Rebecca, as I understand this allows you to basically subcontract with people who are collecting these, and they can make some money. There isn't really a market, I don't think, for green crabs, like there might be other kinds of.
No, it's a very, very small, if any, shellfish buyers are accepting green crabs, it's a very, very less than $1 a pound. So there's not a lot of incentive. And it's a hard work. It's like hand hauling a single lobster pot. So it is hard work for not a lot of incentive to do it.
So basically, as I understand, this is basically the state government subsidizing or giving us money to do this because of the value of protecting the shellfish beds from the green crabs. Is that?
That's correct.
Understand, okay. So I have no questions. We've accepted, because I've been part of this, so questions, Sean?
I have more comment. Rebecca, you're doing a great job.
Thank you so much.
Green crab is something that we've been dealing with for a while. It's very invasive and very dangerous. Obviously, we have a local group called SALT that I'm sure you're aware of. Some of the people have been already harvesting them and trying to get rid of them. Some people have found ways to use them in alcohol. There's a green crab whiskey. And I imagine you put anything in whiskey, it's gonna die. But it is a real problem, and glad that you're working on it, and obviously it's a grant, and we're sitting here with our auditor and our CFO right now, and they like any type of free money, and I know that you're the responsible person that will find the way of stretching it out the best you can to try to get rid of these monsters. So thank you.
The goal.
I hate to be the person to ask this, but do we have any concerns about signatures, accepting grants from the Mass Division of Marine Fisheries? I just want to be like thoughtful that we're doing it all the right way. And Rebecca, I hold you harmless. I just want to make sure we
I
don't run.
appreciate that. Thank you. The paperwork has been sent to Department of Marine Fisheries, so we're waiting on a signature from them.
Rebecca grew up with a strong legal background with a wonderful father, and there is nothing wrong with anything she's gonna do.
Nope, I dot my T's and I cross my I's.
We all do. For me, it's, we don't even see the documents, but we wouldn't even know
Mhm.
signatures and I just don't want to create. I'm not, again, I hold you harmless. I just want to make sure that we are all good with processes that are verified and checked. Good?
Yes.
Okay. If there's no further discussion, the motion on the table has been seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, Rebecca, thank you very much.
Thank you, Rebecca. Have a
Thank you
great
so
night.
much. You too.
Okay, so let's go back to the top of the agenda. The first
Item number
thing,
2.
yeah, item number 2 is a council order from Councilor Gross, Councilor Nolan, Councilor Margiotta about amending our beach and stage 4 park, stage 4 regulations, appendix A. And unless there's someone who wants to join us, I see Gloucester resident and Melissa Gillis. Melissa, I didn't recognize you, being on the call because I didn't see the attendees list, so welcome, Mary Ann Boucher. Sean, do you want to lead this discussion?
I do want to lead a discussion. So we're looking at what actually the cost of one of the beaches. And it's a hard number to come up with because we have a situation where the beaches are done by the DPW, and when the DPW bases upon labor, it's based upon what the people are doing while they're there. So it's hard to put a cost on it. Good Harbor Beach has been a lot more money to maintain because we can't use equipment on the beach. The beach has to be cleaned by pick stick, that's manual labor. The increases in lifeguards, the increase in what we do with trash facilities, with where there is dumping, because we do have a carry out, carry in, carry out, and manpower. We haven't raised our fees in a long time, and we're not looking to raise fees on residents. We're actually looking to raise fees on non-residents only. The consensus was $5. I actually wanted to raise by 10. I believe Connor had come up with a number, a guesstimate on $5, and was it around $600,000?
$5 would be $345,000.
$345
revenue.
additional revenue.
Yeah, so a $5 increase for visitors
Mhm.
would result in a, we guess, about $600,000.
$300.
$345. Yep.
$345,000 increase to
But
our.
$10 would obviously be 700.
So when you said you were thinking about 10 and you settled on 5, was that in preparation of council order?
Well, in the council order, Tony and Frank thought 5 was enough. I wanted to go with 10, and so what's in front of us is 5, and that's amendable. We can amend it at here, or we can amend it at council, or leave it alone. But the basic reason is that there's a lot more cost involved in running our beaches. If we end up with a pipe and plover over at Wingasheek, that's gonna bring up more cost of taking care of the beaches. The revenue streams we find from other beaches across the South Shore are anywhere from $55 to $85 per day for a non-resident. This does not affect residents of Gloucester's. It does not raise the beach sticker for the resident of Gloucester's. And quite frankly, to be honest, with what we have to rope off at Good Harbor Beach, if people don't like it, then they don't have to come. And it gives more room for our residents to actually enjoy our beaches. So it's not a double-edged sword. It's just an answer. I personally think that our beaches are worth the $10 increase. I really do. $5 is $5, and I'd support that if that was the will of the committee as well. But a lift pass is almost $150 now to go skiing. You're talking about the average car has 5 passengers. You can go to the beach right now for $35 on a weekend and have a prime day for $35. Bag your lunch, which most people do, and enjoy yourselves. And I'm just looking at the way of trying to garner more revenue in a way that we can. So, I'm all right supporting what's in front of us tonight. If someone else wanted to make a recommendation at full council to raise it, then I would also probably support that. But I think at this level, I think I would be all right with 5, and we can amend it if we can, if we think we have the willpower of the council to do
Well,
what we
let's
can.
talk about that, and why don't we just focus for a moment on weekday, passenger car, I don't know what SW stands for, minivan, SUV. Let's just focus on that for a second,
Mhm.
because there's so many variables on here, but the first question I have is, what's before us right now is a change from $20 to $25, right? I'm guessing that's the bulk of the, income that you're, when you,
At Stage 4 Park.
oh, Stage Road Park, I'm sorry.
Yeah, they're all listed differently, because,
B is
Stage
Good Harbor
4,
Beach.
right, and then you have,
Okay.
because there's 2 different
Yeah,
price
then
lines.
Good Heart Beach and Winter Chic, $30 right now, weekdays up to $35.
Right, and you can go to Stage 4 Park and you can get a free shuttle going to that beach.
Yeah, so how long has it been since we increased these fees, do we know?
I was actually here when it was done. If I recall, it was, Jim Destino was the CAO at the time, and Sapati was the mayor. I want to say maybe 7 years ago, perhaps.
So I share your opinion, Sean, that, inflation has done a lot, and people kind of are used to spending more money on these kinds of things, and a day at the beach is worth more than $30.
Mhm.
We provide life protection, lifeguards, obviously, we don't provide food, but we provide concession there. I do wonder, the, experience with the reservation system has been pretty positive in terms of traffic and traffic flow and all that. I understand the administration's made a slight change to it where they're offering refunds if there's.
It hasn't been enacted yet, but they're working on it.
Just due to system limitations.
Yeah.
Okay. That concerns me on one regard. So at what point if someone books on Monday, or book for Saturday, and then forecasts, I don't even trust the weatherman, especially in the summertime, right? It's always gonna look great until the day of, but if someone can cancel in that program, could cancel, they just cancel before the day?
They can shift in that program, so they can move it to a different day, but they wouldn't get a refund.
Okay, and if they shift, they have to make that decision before that day? Okay, so if they miss that, then we get the money.
Mhm.
And if they, actually, we get the money either way.
Yep.
Right? But when they shift another day, it means that we're taking away or adding to the limit of numbers, so that could be a little bit of a loss. And I think it's a great privilege, but also, why not get the additional money? So, are you saying you would have gone to, I guess we'll keep them all separate, Safer Park, you would have gone to 30?
I would have raised them all by 10.
So instead of 25 for Stage 4, you go to 30, and instead of 30 for Good Harbor, we should go to, instead of 35, you go to 40.
Yes.
40 and 45, or,
Well, Stage 4 is different, so.
I think 45 on weekends, you're saying.
that's what I'm asking, yeah.
So Stage 4 is $20 for weekdays. And 25 for weekends and holidays. I would raise them to 25 and 30. The motorcycles would go from 5 to 10. Vans would go,
Actually, if you go to the next page, that was over there.
oh,
Stage
Stage
4
4 doing,
20,
yes,
25 to 30, so I think you were saying is you were going to 30 to 35.
yes.
Still.
Yep.
So procedurally, do we need to make amendments here, or can we make amendments here to those specific ones?
We can make amendments here for anything we want, or in fairness, we could read it and make amendments with a full council. So the amendments out of committee are still committee.
Right, so I'm okay with that, I just wanna make sure the process is right, because we have one motion with a list. Can the two of us amend one of these, or something else, any single one of these, and then have a different list provided at council?
Yes.
My question is, so the three counselors here, is this what was recommended?
This is what was recommended, but at committee level, we can change
Yeah.
with an amendment. And then it can go to full council, and it can go back, it can go even higher
Yep.
or lower.
Yep.
So,
So I would like to entertain a motion, or put forward a motion, to amend the beach and stage park, stage regulations, appendix A, by deleting all the ones that are listed, but specifically on the stage park weekday passenger vehicles, SW, we know what SW stands for? Yeah. Okay, minivan, SUV, that first line. Recommending $30 for weekdays and $35 for weekends and holidays. Why don't we say, and I so move.
Well, and that would cover it all. That'd be all, I would feel
But it's a different
comfortable.
price on, if you go to the next page. So this is what's on the books.
Right, I know that, but I
Right,
think
so
that if we
Change this to
recommend
35 to 30.
an overall increase of $10 for all
You're
aspects.
saying just stage 4.
Well, I just think separately because they're listed separately,
But
but
we can do it for all aspects of Good Harbor Stage 4 and Wingachic, a $10
okay.
increase.
so I'm okay with going with a $10 increase. And I so move.
Second,
And then specifically, it's 25 right now listed for weekdays at stage 4, we go to 30. Weekends we go from 30.
35,
Weekends we go from,
or 20 to 30 weekdays.
Right, and then
right,
weekends
I'm going from
go
the
from,
proposed
yeah,
25, it's gonna
25
change
to
to 30,
35, yeah.
35, right? And then Good Harbor Beach and Wingachic we go from the proposed 35 to proposed 40, and then proposed 40 weekends to 45.
5, yes,
So we're adding $10 to all non-resident online purchases
weekdays and
and
weekends and holidays.
And holidays.
So it's either, I'm gonna look at $5 more than what's being proposed, or
Right.
$10 more than
So
what's on the book.
right now, we're doing a $10 increase on all parking fees for Stage 4 Wingachic and Good Harbor Beach for non-resident online purchases.
Yep.
There is no in-person.
No, it's all
All
online.
online.
Yes,
And then, were you going to propose other changes for
All of it,
motorcycle,
everything.
motorcycle, van, bus,
Yep.
guests?
Yep, they're all on there. It's 5, we're raising to 10. So there's a $10 increase to all.
Okay, so then if we can just, with your spreadsheet, +5 and changes all of them.
yeah, I can do that.
That's what I support.
I support it too.
It's
because-
seconded, and any more discussion on that?
Have a great impact on closing the deficit next year.
That's what we,
Yeah.
trying to accomplish.
And it's, and realistically, I'm not a person that wants to jam people up, but we're talking $10. You know what I mean? For a day, if you could show up in a car with 6 people in it and go to the beach all day.
I think the one thing we want to pay attention to is if somehow, and we'll know this pretty quickly, if we're not filling the lots. Right? It's a sunny day and people are turning around.
We
or-
turn around, we turn residents
Oh, I know.
off
we
because there's
turn,
no parking.
we turn more people away than we actually collect.
So,
So I don't think that, I think there's way more demand than supply. But let's just see where that break point is. If we're there, we can always come back the next year to go lower. if we find that.
I think we have some of the finest beaches in the country.
Yes, I agree.
And I think that we're well underfunded for them. And it's an asset to our community, and we need to start taking advantage of things that we have to help our own community. So I have no problem going to the 10. I'm happy that you agree with me. You'll go to the full council at 10. But I really think that this will make a big difference on the city.
Yeah.
But it's not gonna hurt our beaches. I know it's not.
Yeah.
Where do you live?
Here. Gloucester.
Yeah, and you're from
Haverhill.
Haverhill.
Yeah,
But
No beaches in here.
no,
$45 for a day with your
kiddie
family?
pool.
Right.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's
Yeah.
not.
Yeah, no, it's a great deal. Yeah, I agree. The only thing I was
So-
gonna ask, sorry, I was just gonna say, and this takes effect Memorial Day weekend,
Yes,
right?
No. May 15th.
May 15th is when the beach is open,
Okay,
when we
With
actually.
the option to charge
Yeah.
May 15th.
Okay.
At the DWR's
Discretion.
discretion. So we have to go by Memorial Day, but he can charge as early as
Okay.
May 15th and through September 15th.
perfect.
So, this motion table has been seconded. I don't think we need to do any more other than maybe provide the updated
Language.
list for the council. I don't want to go through each one of them. I think his motion to get, all increased by $10
From the
from what's on the
original.
books
Yeah.
is fair.
Yep, I can do that.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
And
So- Keep going.
I think that it's actually a really good, stable thing to do for the city of Gloucester.
I agree. Yeah.
Now, you said last year the DOR looks at increases in prices differently. They want to see you go a year before you can count on it. I mean, we can count on beach revenue.
Well, no, you
Right.
can't.
Well,
It
some
rains
beach, no, we
or-
can count on some beach revenue. We don't know, obviously with rain, but if we say over a 3-year average, this is what our experience is, you can, I think,
I need this
Thank you.
vote, and then on top of that, I need an analysis.
yeah,
So, yep,
And which you'll be happy to do with a $10, $10 increase.
Yes.
yeah, good.
You already
The most
feel-
exciting
you all
thing they
feel
do all
happy
week.
about that, isn't it?
So the administration complains about the council sometimes. You can say, hey, they did give us another potential $700,000 to work with. So, motion is made and seconded. I don't think there's anything else to discuss. All in favor, say aye.
I,
Good work, Council Nolan. And Council Majority and Gross for.
yeah, I think they were a little nervous about the $10, but it's out of town people, and I don't think it's gonna change anything. I really don't. I
If it
think-
does, we come back down.
Yeah, but I think people are still gonna come here, we're still gonna fill our beach lots on hot weekends, and it's gonna help with everything we have to do in the city, with education, with everything, so.
So now what do we do with the extra money?
It's not
Have
extra.
fun, don't pay.
I'm joking, I'm joking.
I like that.
Yeah.
Well, no, Ben.
Right into open.
Okay, so let's jump to the next item, which is the COVID-19.
The only thing I just wanted to ask, is there anybody else in it, because I'm going to be here for the end, is there anybody else, like for the other items
Well,
here,
looking-
like the other
I don't think
donation?
anybody else is supposed to be.
All
involved.
donations.
Okay, great.
We're just taking money.
Yeah, I just don't want to hold anybody else up.
Nope,
And Jeff, I'll let you read everything.
thanks. We'll go pretty quickly here.
No, my
Okay,
eyes
so-
still bother me.
No problem. I don't mind reading. So again, I'm just gonna put the motion on the table and then we can discuss it, just easier than.
Yeah.
Just the way my brain works. So there's 3 separate votes. We'll just put the first one on the table, discuss it, and then decide what we're gonna do from there. I move to recommend the city council accept, I'm sorry, I move to recommend this city council accept under Mass General Law, chapter 44, section 53A, a federal grant from the U.S. Department of Treasury passed through the Commonwealth of Massachusetts for the COVID-19 CVRF-MP. No idea what that stands for.
COVID, CV is COVID
Relief.
Relief Fund Municipal Program. That's the MP.
Oh, the V is the second half of the word COVID.
Yeah, it's an abbreviation.
Okay, coronavirus relief fund in the amount of $2,680,000, 2,680,387 for the necessary expenditures incurred due to the public health emergency with respect to COVID-19. The grant period is from March 1st, 2020 through December 31st, 2021, with no local match required, and I so move.
Second.
Okay, couple of questions. Grant period that's already expired.
Correct.
Does
Okay.
that mean we?
Nope. So just so this was the COVID relief money that we received. This was the first, they just sent the money to us. Actually, I had applied for the funds, and it's something that I actually talked to John initially and also to the mayor at the time, the mayor's office at the time. And my preference was to just request the full funding up front. So we received that 2.6
Back in 21.
back in 20. Back in 20. They gave us the funding, you know. So at that point, I mean, at one point, we thought this was just going to be 2 weeks. I mean, I think everybody can relate to that. And actually, I thought initially this was just going to be a reimbursement similar to like a snow reimbursement. You know, it's just, it starts and it ends and it's just going to be 2 weeks. But then obviously it became a lot bigger. And then the state provided this funding to us, the 2.6 million. I also provided, there's a 2-page document that shows the potential municipal uses.
That was in the packet.
What's it? It was in the packet.
Yes.
Yeah. So this was, for example, you know, even, you know, it's the DPW, they also received this, you know, disinfecting buildings. So also the school, so there was a lot of teachers that, or a lot of classes that were done, you know, with remotely. So this funded remote, you know, teachers. That's just because they needed to hire additional teachers. So that helped fund that as well. Also, COVID testing. So if I remember at Stage 4 Park, there was COVID testing that helped reimburse this. So it was the police details. It was it was like a drive-through testing, so the actual test kits. So the nurses providing the testing. So it covered a lot of different departments, especially like the Board of Health, especially as well. So it covered a lot of department, even my department too. Like we even put something in for reimbursement just for hand sanitizer. So a lot of departments, or even PPE at the time, masks, contact tracing. So this covered, a lot of that. I mean, there was some departments just, they were entering in requisitions. They would just put COVID, and I say, well, I had to reject it. And so, well, how does this relate to COVID? And also the state, they didn't provide us with a lot of guidance. And then eventually they provided this, to help us. So I would say, okay, well, what is it related to? So I would look at this sheet. I mean, even at one point, I know they were even looking to maybe even buying an ambulance. And the state came back and said, no, we can't, pay for an ambulance to transport patients.
So, basically, these three motions and on this thing, I just want you to let the public know that this is money that has been allocated and spent.
Correct.
So they're
It's not
not
new
saying,
money.
we saw they approved 2 million for this
Yeah, we weren't going to receive any more. They
Right.
gave us the 2.6, just so you know too, we've already been audited on this funding. Actually, I had also a
You sure we
positive.
get audited?
What's that?
You sure we get audited? Some people don't think we get audited.
So, the outside auditors, they audited these funds. They were actually very happy how we put together the information. They were very happy that I put together the information, and provided it to them, because, I tried to very, organize it very well, because I, concerned going through the audit, making sure that I have all the invoices, I have all the support, and then also the state as well. They also audited, they would ask questions on certain expenditures. So I would provide the support, provide the backup. So we've satisfied all the audit requirements on the 2.6 with the state and also the outside audit, as well.
What are you asking of us at this moment?
So what I'm asking is, so there is a legal requirement for the city to accept those funds. So
Accepted and spent.
correct, and we've already expended
So
those
it's
funds.
backwards.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, it was a reimbursement. If we were able to know that, to prepare for COVID, I mean, nobody prepared for COVID, So typically, what you would have is you would have an issue and you'd have time to prepare, but this was very reactionary. So they gave us those funds at the beginning. So it was something I talked to John and talked to the mayor's office, and I said, look, I don't know how much this is, and I don't even know how I kind of became in charge of this. This is not something typically that I would be in charge of a grant of this magnitude. Actually, Jim Destino asked me to help, facilitate this grant. And like I said, the outside auditors, we were very happy that I did facilitate, because I tried to organize it, I tried to follow the law, and, just to make sure everything is in compliance with this grant. And I feel very confident that we've already gone through it, it's in compliance. The last is just a legal requirement, is to vote and accept those funds. So my concern is down the road, if, the state or the US Treasury or the outsiders, they do ask for the vote, I want to be able to have that in our records.
So I think Jim Destino made a good move putting you in charge of it. We're very happy with your work. I think auditors are not necessarily kind to other auditors, right? They want to find a problem, and the fact that you've got the state already saying you've done a good job with this gives us reassurance too. So we're just crossing T's here and dotting I's to make sure if there's
Correct.
any paperwork issues, but we're not getting $2.6 million more from this. We're just
No.
counting for it, accounting for the motion. So I'm good. The motion then moved and seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, next one is committee recommends the city council accept under Mass General Law, chapter 4453A, a federal grant from the Federal Emergency Management Agency, FEMA, passed through the Massachusetts Emergency Management Agency, MEMA, for the administration of COVID-19 vaccination in the amount of $23,633.95. Grant period is from March 27, 2020 through July 31st, 2023, with no local match required, and I so move.
Second.
Same kind of discussion?
Same.
So this was the nurse, so this was for the vaccine. So the vaccine was free. However, we had to pay for our nurses or for our fire EMT firefighter to administer the COVID vaccine.
Okay.
So that's all, that's what the $23,000 entails.
Okay. Any further discussion?
Nope.
Motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Next one is I move to recommend the city council accept under Mass General Law, Chapter 4453A, federal grant from the Federal Emergency Management Agency, FEMA, again, passed through the Massachusetts Emergency Management Agency, FEMA, in response to the COVID-19 Public Health Emergency Grant reimbursement with a total of 3 fiscal awards for a total amount of $1,096,739. The grant period is from March 27, 2020 through February 14, 2025, with no local match required. I so move.
Second.
Same discussion.
It's similar. The only thing I will say that they, at the beginning, this was 75-25. The city was supposed to match 25%, but as we went through the process through COVID, that it changed from 75 to 100. Because I know that was a concern. It's something I was talking to John and trying, well, where are we going to come up with the 25%? But as we went through the process, they said they were reimbursed 100%. We just completed this process like in the last couple of months. So the way we structured it, and also kudos to our outside consultant, because as far as FEMA reimbursements, I don't have the expertise in that. I can compile the information, I can organize the information, but as far as the paperwork or the forms to submit to FEMA, I didn't feel comfortable. I know it, Carol McMahon, for years, she had done it at the fire department, but she had retired. So I didn't have anybody to assist me in that. And we hired an outside consulting firm to help us with that. We just received our last reimbursement. So what we did was we had each fiscal year. So that's why it's 3 fiscal years. So each fiscal year, we submitted the information to FEMA and they reimburse us. We just received our last reimbursement, $643,000 last week.
So we're square.
We're square.
Okay, motion is made and seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, the next thing here is a memorandum from the TVW director requesting acceptance for donation to support the restoration and maintenance of our historic burial grounds. $250. I don't think we need to have any testimony on this. I'm just going to make the motion. I move to recommend that the city council accept a cash donation under Mass General Law 4453A to support the Department of Public Works Cemetery Commission for the restoration and maintenance of our historical burial grounds. About $250 from the following member of our community, Philip Austin Bray. Again, $250. That was received on January 7th, 2025, and I so move.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Next is, I move to recommend that the city council accept various cash donations under Mass General Law 4453A to support veteran services in the amount of $3,250 from the following members and business partners in our community. That's Edward Camo for $200, the Gloucester World War II Memorial Fund for $3,000, and Greg and Kelly Berger for $50, for a total again of $3,250, and I so move.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
I move to recommend that the Gloucester City Council accept under Mass General Law, Chapter 4453A, a cash donation from the National Society of DAR Cape Ann Chapter in the amount of $500 to the Archives Department for the purpose of funding the Archives Committee donation fund in Fund number 3305, and I so move.
Second.
Is that the Daughters of the American Revolution? DAR? Thank them. And motion made, moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Number 8. I move to recommend that the Gloucester City Council accept a cash donation under Mass General Law 4453A to support the Cemetery Advisory Commission for the continued restoration of our historical, spelling mistake by the way, historical burial grounds, the amount of $256 received during fiscal year 2024, and I so move.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
I apologize for calling out a spelling mistake.
No, it's
The editor usually jumps out.
It's just an A.
it's the day.
Okay,
Why a vowel?
well, we can afford a vowel now, because we got $256 for that. Okay, next is a motion to, I recommend that the Gloucester City Council accept various cash donations under Mass General Law 4453A to support the Council on Aging in the amount of $2,925 from the following members and business partners in our community. Keep In Savings Bank for $2,300. Richard Semple, $100. Peter Lafata, $100. John Perry, $100. Kathleen Pomfret, $100. Rose Shalino, $50. Paul Boucher, $50. Arlene O'Neill, $50. Brenda Bums, $50. And Antonio Grillo for $25. Again, a total of $2,925, and I so move.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
You want to add anything to our agenda? At this pace? I move to recommend the Gloucester City Council accept the cash donation in the Mass General Law 4453A to support the Department of Public Works Cemetery Commission for the maintenance of the Langsford Street Cemetery in the amount of $500 from the following business partner within our community. And that's Carroll K. Steele Insurance Agency. Again, $500 received in November of 2024 for a total of $500. I so move.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, last thing on our agenda is reviewing lists of accounts with expenditures, Steve, their authorization.
So,
Number 4.
thank you. So, compared to last time, same number of accounts, it actually decreased. We went from 760,000 to 699,000 currently. And one of the big items, for example, is Council on Aging typically. So that's something that you'll see a grant come through, the formula grant. So that'll clear up that one. Some of these also are related to encumbrances. I know payroll. I know Connor's been working with them. And I apologize. I could have sent the report to you. I apologize. Actually, I have right there.
All right.
Okay. Yeah. So same number of accounts. It actually decreased from last time. So that's the good news. As you know, as Councilor Worthley knows, we always, at the end of the year, we always clean up, these accounts. So there could be some errors.
The minutes, so.
Yes.
The amount of the meeting. That doesn't.
Yeah, no, but
So I always just say, is there anything that jumps out at you?
Danielle.
no,
Okay,
no, not yet. So, yeah. No,
Yeah.
the other thing also, I did send out the quarterly report as well. So if you want to discuss, like, that's the good
the good
report.
list.
This is the naughty list.
Did I get the,
And then there's the good list.
did I get
So-
the good list?
I sent that early in the week.
Yeah, it came on, I think, on Monday, Tuesday.
I think it was Tuesday I sent it out.
I'll have to take a look at that. But that's not on my agenda for tonight anyway.
No, I just, I've been sending on a quarterly. That's something that the counselors have been requesting, asked for. So,
So, just for the
and
public,
also the school as well. And I noticed the school, there's a couple of schools that are in the deficit, and I did let,
I did see this. Big
and I-
deficit in the school side.
yeah, not total, but there's a
89%
couple of schools. What's that?
It said they're 89% through their budget.
Yeah, with encumbrances, yeah.
Mhm.
But they still have, I think, believe $8 million unencumbered. There's a couple of schools, I also did receive a call from the schools that they're working on budget transfers. But that I also Cody Marshall, the finance director, he also emailed me and let me know that they're working on it. So it was just good to remind them. Yeah,
So what I like to look at when I see this, I see that it looks like a deficit of 700,000. A lot of it is timing.
Yeah.
Right? The Council on Aging grant is a big part of that.
Yeah.
And we have no reason to expect that money won't come in. And when you look at $150 million budget, if you're $700,000 off, a little more than half through the year, you're not that far off. So,
No, it's gonna all.
yes. I mean, you're starting to see snow and ice on this report as well.
Mhm.
So that's coming.
yeah. So there's no action for us on this. I appreciate you providing it. Nothing in here jumps out as alarming, so.
Nope.
I'm good. Is there any other items that we need to discuss?
Nope.
Okay, I appreciate you staying the whole time. Hopefully, I think we accepted mine. We cleaned some things up and we projected more income, so you can't be unhappy with this.
No. Got a lot done tonight.
Thank you. Thank you for your time. I see Mary Ann Boucher online. Thank you for joining us, Mary Ann. hear us, but we can maybe see you.
Connor, Kenny, always a pleasure.
Great,
Thank you.
I'm surprised you're here, just babysitting us, make sure we do everything okay, or you just love numbers?
I'll explain offline.
She's gonna yell at us.
Alright, so I'll entertain a motion to adjourn,
It's so moved.
second, any discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.